Huzzah! This is the Legend of Solar, and now you should check out the 3 Count Podcast.
Live with me. Do you really wanna ride with me? I'm in the club, baby, grind on me. Do you wanna get live with me? Do you wanna get live with me?
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And by now, after like our 300 something episode, season 4 of Now Entering, I would hope you just say with me, I am your Sherpa, because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring today? You can find this person at PCW. You can find them at Tidal. You can find them at MWF. And you can find them at Pro Wrestling Turbo. He has been a ref. He has been a manager. He has been a worker. He's still a worker. He is also a father. And then more importantly, he has quite the legend behind him. He is the man, the myth, the legend, Solar.
Ah, yes. Huzzah. How you doing?
Huzzah!
How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How you been?
I'm exhausted and tired, but I'm good.
It's funny though.
Permanently exhausted.
Yeah, I feel like that's what like wrestling does for you. It's just like it pushes you on this level of like you're going to go entirely into sleep mode and just wake up. And I know for me, like especially with the job that I have, my shoot job, like I'm up at like 7 o'clock in the morning. So my nights usually don't end till like 11 o'clock, and I'm back up at 7 in the morning, and I have to. Oh, I'm up at 5 in the morning to be at work at 6 before my first client shows up at 7. So that way I can like make sure everything works. I'm like, bro, I understand. It gets exhausting.
Yeah, that sounded exhausting just listening to it. I feel for you.
Oh, but it's worth it though, right? Because ultimately like that's what we get into this world of like professional wrestling, because like we think that it's just, hey, to us, we enjoyed it as a kid, and now we get to live out that dream of a kid as a kid, and kind of like decompresses us and like
it's an escape. It's an escape from reality, which is you just described your reality in the mornings of how much you have to do. So it's like it's an escape, and it's definitely a chance. I mean, we all start as fans, so it's like it's just really cool to be a part of it, like in some capacity, whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's what's important is that like we're all like, whether we want to be like podcasting into it or we want to talk about it or we're in it like as workers or managers or commentators or promoters, whatever we want to be into it. Like we just, as kids, we fall in love with this business, and well, at least for wrestling side. And then we start to learn how to like the business. Then we fall in love with the business, and then the business isn't so nice to us sometimes, but we have to be nice to it, and we keep showing respect. But we put ourselves out there so much because we genuinely we want people to enjoy the things that we're doing, because and chances are if you're passionate about something, people are going to be passionate about what you're doing too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I firmly believe that if you believe whatever you believe in, whatever you're passionate about, they'll feel that passion, whether they understand it on a conscious level or not. They'll feel it, and that's a part of it that sucks them in too, like to watching whatever you're doing is if you are passionate about it, they feel it, and then they don't even realize how much they're buying into whatever you're selling. But that's wrestle talk right there.
Well, I mean, it's kind of one of those things though, like when you have like a behind the scenes where you get to talk to someone like this, and you're like learning from people, right? Like you're always like going out of your way to like find new creative ways to like get in touch with people, and then that way anybody else can see behind the scenes too. And I think that's one thing that's changed, right? Because like before, I know like with the business, like it was very closed off. People weren't allowed to look behind a curtain. Like we didn't talk about stuff like we're open now. Now, like when you look at people who've been in like 20 years, they'll even tell you that like it's changed so much that you're essentially, you get to not only just peek around the corner, but you feel like you're kind of like, you have more of a genuine connection to whoever it is that you're wanting to work with. Yes,
absolutely. And now here's the thing. I also understand like certain things, like there's a lot of old hats who think it shouldn't be this way. They're very against opening everything up, but it's like like for one, it's been open for 20 plus years now. I mean, they like it's like the largest wrestling promotion in the world pretty much opened that door. So it's like to fight that and to be like, oh, it should be go back to the way it was. You can't. It's there's just so much that people understand and know things on a general like in a general basis now that they never they like they maybe like they had a hunch of an idea before, but now it's like it's very out there. Now does that mean like fans know everything? No, there's a lot they don't understand. Like they think they understand about wrestling, but they don't, because I really do believe you can't completely understand it until you're in it and you are like in the middle of like because it's like sometimes you're like, well, why did this guy get the push over this guy? He's so talented in the ring. And then you're like, well, there's other things besides in-ring work that makes a wrestler great. It's like for instance, like is he my personal favorite? No, but like Hulk Hogan was the biggest wrestler of the 80s, and it definitely wasn't because of his in-ring work. It was because of his connection to the crowd, his bigger personality, and that still to me matters more than like being a great wrestler, because being a great wrestler is great, don't get me wrong, but you have to have some sort of intangible to be a mega star. And like, I mean, even guys like people like Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, actually now I call him Daniel Bryan. Jesus, my daughter, right? If she was here, she would hit me. His WWE name, but like he was a great independent wrestler. Like he was really, really crisp and wonderful in Ring of Honor. But I did not enjoy him until his WWE work, because that's when he learned how to be a persona and a star along with being a great wrestler. And now in AEW, I feel like you get the best version of him, because not only can he's allowed to wrestle whatever way he wants to, so he can be that badass, tough, like technician wrestler, but he also has mastered how to be a showman in whatever facet. It's just his persona of being a showman is being a great wrestler, but it's still a persona. It's still a larger than life. Like he still amps it up to the 10, and he still goes out there. He can cut a promo. He can seeing him do the freaking stuff with the screwdriver with the Blackpool Combat Club. Like that's still character work. That's still that's stuff that he was not good at before he got to WWE. Now he's good at all of it. Like he's one of the most well-rounded performers in the business. And like everybody's like, oh, he's like, a lot of people just argue like stuff like wrestler versus sports entertainer, and I'm always like, they're the same thing. Professional wrestler is just the older term for it. There's no difference. They're both trying to con the audience into believing a fake fight is real, and whatever drama is surrounded by it. You know,
it's interesting because you're talking about, I remember when Daniel Bryan, we're going to use that name because when he came into NXT, and I remember like that season 1 of NXT, right, where it was like the game show type, right? And I remember when Daniel Bryan like said, "Is it fair to me to have someone like The Miz mentor me?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "I've been doing it," and he told it to Miz, right? He's like, "I've been doing this for like." I think at the time he'd been doing it for like close to 10 years, almost 15 years. It was a long time. He's like, I've been doing this for like 10 to 12 years. And Daniel and Miz goes, that's great. He's like, I've been doing this for 5 years, but my time in the WWE trumps your time in a bingo hall. Mm-hmm. And like, he wasn't wrong. Like,
no, he wasn't.
Daniel Bryan is a phenomenal wrestler, and we can both get notice that.
Also, that entire argument between the two of them in that show was a story being told. Mm-hmm. It was a story about, hey, I'm this indie darling. You're this WWE creation. Why are you better than me? So immediately, what does it do? It gets the crowd on, because nobody likes The Miz. So it gets the crowd immediately on his side. And he knew that. And that's also shows you how good of a performer he was. He was smart enough to realize that. So he played, what he did there was he was playing playing the dirt sheets and the internet wrestling crowd in his favor, so he would get a certain kind of reaction. So he would get more over, and because they would see that conflict between him and the Miz, and I'm sure, I mean, they've talked about that they don't really like each other. I'm sure there was like truth behind it. Any great story has a little bit of truth behind it. But he played it up so that they would have that moment. And so, like, he's a smart businessman. He's a smart worker, that he knows that was his way into this giant company. Who this is why he survived, and Dean Malenko did. And when I say survived, it's like not that Dean Malenko isn't a legend and isn't great at what he was, but there's a reason why Dean Malenko couldn't transition, because he didn't know how to transition from being, hey, I'm a really good hand, I can have a good match, I'm a technical wrestler, to being a performer on all facets, which is what, if you want to make money in wrestling, that's what you need to become. Like, you have, if you want to make any sort of money, whether it's on an indie level, whether it's definitely in WWE, whether it's in AEW, you have to understand that the other stuff matters too.
Having a genuine connection with.
No, granted, have I made that much money? No, but I do understand this stuff. It's this is me speaking from like just understanding how wrestling works at this point. But still,
But you bring up a great point though, like having a genuine connection with, because that was the thing that Dean lacked, right? Fans connected to Dean in WCW because he was a great worker and he was a steady hand, and people loved that aspect. But the WWE
also, they connected to him because Chris Jericho put him over hard.
Yeah,
Chris Jericho made Dean even more likable because Chris Jericho was such a good overall entertainer that he took somebody who was not, like I said, Dean was a good hand, good worker, could have great matches and everything, but nobody really cared, even when he came out. Like, but you got to that feud between Dean Malenko and Chris Jericho. Dean Malenko got the biggest pop of that night when he unmasked his Cyclope, and it was revealed it was Dean Malenko in disguise, and got the biggest pop of the night. And why? Because they built something to him,
right? And it's the one thing about like Chris was able to, because Chris, like you said, was a great entertainer. And the thing about Dean Malenko is when he was in WWE, like, yeah, sure, like he was great to show that he could be a steady hand. But the problem is like they were trying to like get gimmicks with him so that way he could connect more with the crowd, and he couldn't connect to it. And it was just like, I think even one person said it, like I forget if it was like an interview, but they were like, all we wanted him to do was smile, and he just couldn't even do it because he was so locked into the business as a wrestler, like he couldn't figure out the entertaining side of it. Now, though, I hear like behind the scenes, like he's very open, very on, like he is, like he's giving so much advice.
He probably understands. He's probably just better to be a teacher in that sense than being in the performance, because sometimes people are better teachers than they are performers. Sometimes people like not to say that they're bad performers. I'm not trying to say that, but like sometimes like you can teach somebody what they're missing better than you could learn it yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why these people are put in these places. Like sometimes it takes a lot, you failing to an extent I'll be straight up. Like in a sense, I feel like I failed a lot not because I was not engaging where I was at, but I was afraid to try to go further with it. And I stayed in one spot. And so I kept myself tucked away for like 90% of my wrestling career. Like I was just like in this little place in Lincolnton. And so I kind of failed on like could I, like, I don't think I would have gotten signed because of my look or, stuff like that. But I know I probably could have made more money and gotten my name out there more than I did. And that was my failure. But out of my own failures, like, Erica has a lot better of a chance because, like, I already know, like, oh, yeah, don't do this. Yeah, you see, I stay in this one spot. You go everywhere. You go and get, you go get work wherever you can, because I know now that, like, I have understanding. So, like, and that's not to say, like, I ain't saying I'm done or anything, but, like, I'm 39. So, like, I'm very, like, cynical about, oh, yeah.
Now's the time.
My chances of, like, It's very slim. It's like whereas whereas her, she's like 18, so she has like the whole world at her oyster. She can.
But and there's like two parts to that, right? Because like even for me, like I'm turning 38 this year, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh man, like I know, like I'm at, even if I don't want to admit to it, like I know I'm at the tail end. And some people were like,
Yeah.
man, you could have, and people use DDP as like a prime example, right? Like
Yeah.
DDP started when he's like
Yeah, I've heard that a lot
34.
too.
He didn't really break into, like he was like, you know, he didn't get his first championship, so he's like 43. Like there's still time. It's like, cool, you're right, and it could happen. It could. I'm not gonna sit there and be like,
But
nah, it's never gonna happen.
DDP was also the exception.
Yeah, and,
He's the exception to the rule.
but who's to say that you're not gonna be an exception either?
No. Here's the thing, like do I see like a possibility with like management, like doing managing stuff or something like along those lines? I have a lot better, like I think I could benefit places better like that way. Yes. Do I think I can benefit on just helping other people draw their character out? Yes. Do I just see myself being in the main events of a big promotion like on a consistent basis? No, because I just know my body, I can wrestle, I can still wrestle, I can still work a match. But my bumps are definitely like, you know, I just know it's like, it's just not my, like time is winding down on the, I used a lot of those just, I bumped my ass off for a long time in front of not to say like, it was like in front of like, you know, not near as many people as I could have gotten my name out there. So I wasted on that. That's okay though, because like I learned a lot of stuff and I can still like help others. And that doesn't mean I'm done. Like I'm just saying the likelihood of me being brought in as a wrestling performer, like as a wrestler, is very small. Whereas the likelihood of me being brought in as a performer, as an attraction, as a manager, something along those lines, much larger. I can probably swing something like that because I can be a big personality and I can put things over. I can make others look good. I'm good at that. But it's also, I'm just like I said, knowing where your tool belt is, what you can, how you can help others. And I'm not, a lot of people are like, well, you're just, you know, like I said, DDP. Oh, he did that. Yeah, he's the exception. That doesn't mean not the same thing can't happen, but also like I'm very self-aware of like, hey, look, dude, you're 39. We're not 21 years old anymore. Like my body feels it.
But the best part too is that like
I walk up the steps and my knees ache every single time. I'm literally that meme of like, oh God.
But the best part about it too, though, is that you also get to mentor someone like Erica, right? And like, you know, guide her career and show her like, hey, yo, do this, do that, go this way. Here's something that I wouldn't do. This is something that you probably could get away with. And character wise, develop wise, whether, because I see your guys' TikToks. You guys' TikToks are like on point. And every time I see like a new one, I legit stop whatever it is I'm doing, turn my phone over to either TikTok or Instagram, and I watch whatever you guys are doing. So you definitely have the aspect of like grabbing eyes and grabbing attention and pulling people into whatever promo you're doing, whatever stories you guys are telling. So you're doing a great job of just like being a good mentor for her and showing her what to do.
That's what I want to do. Like that's what I'm, because here's the thing, like already, like to me, I watch her work and I watch like the promos that like, and she gets some down on herself a lot because like I'm very creative as a human. So a lot of times I'm like kind of like come up with a lot of stuff for it. But I don't think she realizes this. Like I started doing like promos with her and different things when she was 14, 15 years old. Back then it was 90% me and her just following direction. And she still, like, here's the thing. I tell her this too, is like, what do you think's going to happen in WWE? They're going to tell you what to do and give you direction, and it's up to you to execute it. You're already doing that really well. So you're already understand that part. But what she doesn't realize is like every year she puts more input. She gives her ideas. She like, I don't have to like tell her what to say. She just does it. She acts a certain way. And all I have to do is be like, hey, try this instead. And it's just a slight tweak. And she doesn't realize that, like, that's with the promos. And then when it comes to wrestling, like, the only thing that she's like lacks right now is like she's still trying to find her way of connecting completely to the crowd. Like she gets a big pop when she comes out. She's really talented in the ring, but she's still trying to figure out a natural way for her to connect and feel the crowd out, and that comes with time and I think reps, because it doesn't matter. But like on that other hand, like I see her selling, I see how she plays to the cameras, and she literally does stuff that it took me 10 years of like grinding and wrestling on a regular basis to understand myself. And she's like 4 months into her actual in-ring career. She's already doing this stuff. She's already, so like to me, I'm like, wow, that's incredible. And that's just very hopeful for, like that makes me feel like, and it's not, I mean, I'm not saying it's just me, because like she has a hell of a trainer at Palmetto with Ethan Case. She's been around a lot. She's got to do a lot of great seminars with guys who have literally been in WWE, which is phenomenal. She's got to do seminars with people that are just done the indies. She's worked with a lot of talented people on the indies. She's got a lot of talented classmates. So it's not all me, but like, I definitely will say this, like between like Ethan and me on the rides back, when we talk about wrestling, like, it's a lot of like, hey, yeah, that's definitely working for you. Keep doing more of that. Don't do that, and she's got a lot of, but that's one of the reasons why, like, I was very adamant on supporting her, because when I was trying to do this, I didn't have support. Hold on. My cat is deciding to scratch my walls. He's very, I was like, why are you doing this, cat? Why? Can't you see I'm doing internet stuff, kitty?
But I think it's important though, because like he
just responded to me. He really went, wow.
It's very important though, like to have someone like support you like in your goals, right? Because like you said, right, and even for like me, like I know I have like it was something that was brought to me by O'Shea Edwards, right? That like you have acquaintances, you have your friends, you have people on your team, and then you have people in your corner, and it's very important that those people in your corner like hold you accountable, but B are also there to support you and like show you like, hey, like we got your back no matter what happens. So hearing like you guys have these conversations when you're driving either to practice or coming home for practice or going to shows, that's cool, because like I know for me, like the guys in my corner, we're always talking. Like first, when we get in the car, we don't really want to talk about wrestling. We always talk about whatever music's coming out, and then it usually kind of drifts into kind of wrestling, and we start talking about different kinds of moves and stuff like that, or sequences that we want to hit. And then when we're coming home, it's always just where we're gonna eat and like what can we listen to, just kind of vibe out and chill out and talk about the night afterwards. So I definitely, it's cool to have like that support system and those guys who are in your corner, like consistently helping you and pushing you to the forefront, because they understand that like you have goals and ambitions and they want to help you get there too. So it's cool to see that you're also holding yourself accountable, but then you're also making sure that, Erica also has that person to support her as well.
Oh yeah. And like I said, she has a great team atmosphere at the academy that she was at. Ethan's a genius when it comes to like wrestling. Like he's honestly helped me. He's reopened my eyes to a lot of things that I feel like before I came to the academy, I lost track of, and was because I got to a point where I was just so, and it just comes with the territory that you're like I was in the same place for so long around the same people, and I didn't really open up on different places. So like, I'm not trying to knock the people that I was around before, because I still had a lot of fun and good times with them, but being around the same people with a certain attitude, at some point you just get bitter and you get like disgruntled about things, and you're just kind of like, everything just gets either stressful or, like one of the things I did, I put too much on my plate a lot. I would try to I'd make the flyers. I'd do the editing for all the videos so everybody could have their matches online. I would so I would design the flyers. Then I'd also print the flyers. Then which would come out of my money, my, whatever cash I had. And then I'd put them out, which would be gas. And then so I just took on way too much, and I got very burnt out on wrestling. And so like going to where and being around people like that are kind of younger / still want to have fun with wrestling, because that's a big key thing to me, is whatever kind of wrestling you like, you should still have fun with it. It's like the biggest mistake any wrestler has is getting so jaded that they forget that, hey, at one point we were all fans and we wanted to be in this business because we thoroughly enjoyed wrestling. It was an escape for us. So like you get to some point, like all these people are just so bitter, like old heads get so bitter about like things, and they hate everything new. Like if it's not what their era of wrestling was, they don't like it. And do I understand every aspect of like the current day wrestling? No, but also like I enjoy a lot of it because I keep thinking, well, this is how it's evolving, and there's nothing wrong with that. I always say it's like, yo, is the crowd reacting? If it's reacting, then who are you to judge? If the crowd's reacting and that wrestler is making money and literally selling all their merch out, you have no room to like speak on like, oh, they suck or whatever. No, they don't suck. They're clearly doing it right. Like a lot of people a lot of people don't like Orange Cassidy. Personally, I think Orange Cassidy's very, really, really great wrestler, great worker, really smart guy who's like tapped into a completely, I'd say, like I call it like kind of like he taps into the audience that likes memes, and he taps into an audience that doesn't necessarily like wrestling, which is really the audience you want to go for, because you want to convert them into liking wrestling and becoming like, it's the same audience that like I feel like was the crux of the Attitude Era. Whereas these guys who like watched wrestling for Stone Cold and The Rock, were they necessarily wrestling fans? No, but they watched because they're like, oh crap, did you see what happened? And he taps into the same audience, but he does it differently because culture's changed since then. So his is very ironic and sardonic and kind of like just like the wrestling, you know, like it's kind of making fun of it in a way. And a lot of people are like, that's stupid. No, that's meme culture. Meme culture makes fun of everything. Everything's funny to them, and that's the audience that he grabs. Also, he grabs kids. You know, like he gets he grabs the kids who want to like dress up as him, just like any big great performer. So everybody's like, there'll be so many people that crap on him, and I'm just like, y'all don't get wrestling. You don't get it. He sells how much merch. He has how many people when he does his little hand thing and puts in the pocket, how many people react. That's all that matters. I don't care what you're doing, whether you understand it or not. Like, he gets a reaction and he sells merchandise, and so he's a star. So
yeah, I think when it comes to Orange Cassidy too, what I love about Orange Cassidy is like his character in and out is like fully fleshed out, right? Like,
yeah.
Inside the ring, he's very slow, methodical. He's very fast paced when he needs to be. When he's outside of the ring, he's doing interviews. He's just very slow, methodical. Like the thing is, he tells like these great stories with like slow buildups, right? He knows everybody wants him to put his hands in his pockets. So what does he do? He has other people stop him from doing it. So what does that do? It puts heat on the bad guy, and he gets people to want to cheer for him when he does it. And that's why I'm like, yo, people who get mad at Orange Cassidy, they're like, he's killing the business. It's like, he's a genius at what he's doing.
It's like, did y'all say the same thing about Santino Marella when he had the freaking little
Cobra?
The Cobra? No. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure there was probably people who said that too. It's like, yo, how many people, like, don't get me wrong, I love Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, every one of their matches. But what's more memorable to me, their classic matches or Santino Marella doing a Cobra strike on a dude? I guarantee you, to the average person who's not obsessed with wrestling, but still comes to watch that WrestleMania, and that's the prize audience that you want, the people you want them to come back and convert them to that person, that matters more than any 5-star match. And even then, is like, there's just so many people like you think they get it, but
no, because and to think too, when you look back at like characters, right? We talk about people like The Undertaker. We talk people like Shawn Michaels, right? We talk about DX. We talk about Stone Cold. We talk about Mankind. We talk about Sacco. right?
Yeah.
We talk about like Santino, like it's just great characters that got stuck in your head and started
Yeah.
repeating things, and then you just got into it, which is why, like, sure, Hogan was like the best at it, right? Because he like was bringing in a lot of
He
money,
was
and
one
then
of them.
like you
He
start,
was one of them. I mean, I'd say I see Stone Cold and The Rock were the best at it.
yeah. Well, John
But
Cena, I guess, is what I was
John
on
Cena, yeah,
Cena.
God, say what you will about John Cena, man, he captivated a whole decade
Two
plus.
two different gimmicks,
Yeah,
similar style, right? Two
yeah,
different gimmicks, but like both sides came together, right? Whether you were
yeah,
like all about the Doctor of Thugonomics or you were just about being on the Cena Nation and you
yeah.
know no longer the word life, but the you can see me. Like
Mhm.
he got everything over. And then look at Chris Jericho. Like that
Oh yeah,
dude,
Chris Jericho. That's
character wise gets
you're right.
everything over. Like it's just insane.
He's my goat of wrestlers. Like I literally like I honestly don't think until probably some of the later AEW days, I don't think there was ever a bad Jericho match. And he also played like a billion like interesting versions of his character that evolved over time. Now, I'm not saying that he's doing bad matches now because he's not. He's still really good, but also he's like in his 50s, so of course
Yeah.
at some point like something has to like it gets harder, but
Yeah.
he still puts out good matches even then, and he's this big larger than life character, and anybody who like I don't understand people who like want to crap on him too. Like I'm like, dude's making money.
You're
You-
still paying to watch Chris Jericho, like
yeah, there's
regardless of what
a
it is.
lot of people that still pay to watch Chris Jericho.
And he's still, and I mean, and like the guy has like, so just like outside of wrestling, right? He's been in movies, he had
Oh
his
yeah,
own cruise ship, like he has
yeah.
his own rock band, like, and the
He
dude is like
he does.
everywhere.
Yeah, he does. Like he tries to do more than just wrestling too. Like he got to a certain point with his wrestling career, and then he's like, I want to try other stuff, and then he did it, and like,
He was just on The Masked Singer.
yeah, it's like, man, dude, it's like, dude, you can't. Like, congrats to him. Like that's living the dream right there. Like that's the goal. Like that's honestly. As I told Erica a long time ago, it's like, yo, yeah, do I want you to be like, I know you like love wrestling, but at some point, I want you to like use wrestling to get big enough to where you don't have to completely always rely. Another person who's like talented. This is a very strange, like maybe it's a strange, I don't know. Trish Stratus just came back, but like she's been gone for like 20, like almost 20 years, and she's been doing her own fitness stuff, and she's been, she's did other things outside of wrestling because I mean, like do I think you should always do I think you should always you shouldn't just leave the wrestling for other things necessarily, but you should definitely like use what you get out of wrestling to make your other dreams happen too.
Yeah.
It's like, and because that's great for wrestling in itself because it shows, hey, like it gets out of that stigma of we're big dumb wrestlers who fake pretend fight each other, because we still sometimes have that stigma. But the more you have people like The Rock or Batista or just people that succeed outside of wrestling after their great, I say their peak years are done, like the more they succeed in other things, like the better, like it helps, like it makes wrestler have a better reputation, because I mean wrestling already has, like, I'd say this, like, get out of the habit, people should get out of the habit of, oh, I'm going to wrestle for until I'm 60 to 70
Yeah.
years old, and I'm so broken that I'm a shell of what I was, and I've killed myself for this business. No, you don't do that. That's crazy. No, at some point transition out of it, because it's a very abusive business. You can still come back for big moments to help get others over. Like right now, Trish Stratus, she's working a big program with Becky Lynch. Like, not that Becky Lynch needs to get over, but Becky Lynch, it's a star from one era versus a star from another era kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's meant to be like, it's meant to like add more to Becky's thing. And also I'm sure that after she's done with the feud with Becky, that it's probably going to lead to somebody, a younger talent, maybe like a Bianca Belair or something like that, who's on the like rising. I'm sure she's going to do something with them before she bows back out of wrestling again. I mean, that's
it's one of those things where when you look at like the success of like wrestlers outside of the business, right? It's funny because you bring it up, right? Like with John, and you see it with The Rock, you see it with Batista, and then you use Trish, which I was like, it's funny because I never thought about that time frame of like, oh yeah, Trish. I know that she's been running her own yoga program. DDP's been running his own yoga program. Leo Rush has, regardless of what people say, Leo Rush's album is actually fire. I love 1111. And then like you see all these other people like Brock Lesnar left wrestling to go become a pro fighter.
Yeah.
And won the heavyweight title.
He came back to wrestling.
And they came back.
Legitimate pro fighter and changed his entire gimmick for the better. Like, then here's the thing. Brock Lesnar was a star both when he left, but when he came back from the UFC, he was a mega star. And then you put him with Paul Heyman, and then he's now like literally like a lot of people talk shit about him, but like because he's a part-timer, but he doesn't need to. He needs to protect his bumps too.
But that's the thing too, is like he doesn't even need to come back all the time. He's an attraction. Like every time
you gotta get to that. You get to that point of being an attraction, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a goal.
And the crazy part is like you listen to and it's just like with The Rock, right? When The Rock's theme music hits, you smell what The Rock is, people pop. Yeah. Once you hear that, and then everybody explodes.
No, it doesn't matter. And here's the thing: it doesn't matter if you're Here's the thing: like, so I watch. Well, I don't watch near as much wrestling now. I keep up to date with everything, but I don't watch it. But when I was like starting off, I was like super obsessed with wrestling. I knew like everything of the time period. Erica's very different, whereas like she watches what she's interested in, but she also I kind of tell her like, hey, keep other interests out of wrestling, because it's better in my opinion, it's better to draw from outside interests to make yourself more unique as a wrestler than just watch wrestler spot number one wrestler, like watch constant wrestling, because then you just become like, oh well, I'm like me. I had a bad habit of being without meaning to be being very Chris Jericho like early on in my career, because I watched so much of him. So like she doesn't watch near as much wrestling. However, if The Rock's music hits, she knows who it is. If she knows who's coming out. If Brock Lesnar's music hits, she knows who's coming out. And like, so like, that's the guy, that's what you want. You want it to be, oh, this person's music hits. Oh, I know exactly who that is. That's what you even want at indie shows. The goal is to get yourself so. Hear that? Hold on. Let me. Hold on. The goal is, like, in my opinion, is even at like indie shows, you want to be that star who's like, oh, their music hits, the crowd knows immediately who it is as soon as the music hits. And because if you do that at an indie show, then you can get to that. Then you have the intangibles to be that at a bigger show, and then it's all about like, how good are you? Can you like, and that's what I was saying. Like, there's so many. I've totally been. This has been the most ADHD. I'm so sorry.
No, I agree 100%. Like, on the indie side of things, like you want to definitely be that. You want to be a special attraction too. Like whenever people bring you in, like they can promote you, right? People are gonna recognize. But the moment that your music hits, like the crowd explodes. Yeah. And I think that's where like we all shoot to get there, right? But we all want to be like that WWE superstar, but like on the smallest scale. But also we also want to get to that larger scale as well. Yeah. So I definitely agree. Like you want to have that genuine connection, that impact with the crowd so much that they. Like when they don't see you for a couple shows, when you come back, like they are ready to explode because they know that you're in the building, or they know you're on the show, they know you're somewhere on the card, so they can't wait to see you. And I think I agree 100%. Like I'm at that point where I'm like, I want to connect with the crowd so much. Like in certain promotions, not every promotion, but certain promotions, I have connected so much with the crowd that I'm legitimately like on my fan page I will get DMs at like 2 or 3 in the morning from fans that are like, "Hey, are you gonna be at this show? Are you gonna be here today? Are you gonna be here?" And I just won't respond because
Yeah.
I know that they want me to, and I'm just like, I'm not going to purposely now. So I definitely agree with what you're saying.
Also,
But-
why are you messaging at 2 a.m., bro?
Yeah, sometimes it's not a bruh, sis. But
Maybe that's something for you.
yeah. Not at this point in my life, it's not a good look. I'm just like, hey, stop sending a message at 3
You're
in the
like,
morning.
where were you when I was 20? Like,
But
nah.
so I do want to take this over to my favorite part of the 3 Count Podcast, which is 3 Count Podcast, 10 count questions. And here's how it works, Mr. Solar. I'm going to
Okay.
fire off 10 questions at you, rapid fast. And whatever your answer is, that's your answer.
Mhm.
So we're going to put on the imaginary timer for ad pressure. Bing! And in the words of, I think it's like here somewhere. In the words of Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
AEW.
Works for me. Favorite cartoon?
Oh. Batman the Animated Series.
Let's go. We can talk more about that in a second.
Yeah.
Apple or Android?
Android.
Favorite movie?
Oh. Hold on. Let me think. I have a lot of favorite movies. This is a loaded question. Like, what movies are over here? No. I feel like this is a cliche one right now, but Endgame is really good. like,
Okay,
like,
I like it.
like. I mean, also Back to the Future. That's a really
Hey, I don't know if people know, but that's actually Chris Van Vliet's favorite movie. He talks about that being the perfect movie.
no, the third one's is the best one.
Swords or axes?
Swords. Clearly swords. Like, that's my gimmick. What? If I said something otherwise, Steve would be upset with me.
Yeah. Favorite actor?
He turned heel on me and killed me. Yeah.
All right, we go favorite actor.
I don't know. That's overall, maybe Christian Bale.
Okay.
I like a lot of stuff. I always like everything he does. Like,
he also fights with an axe as well as a sword.
Okay, fair enough. Listen. Okay.
Marvel or DC?
Actually, DC.
Okay, I like it. Favorite podcast?
Well, that's tough. I should say you. Can I have top 3?
You can definitely have a top 3.
For one, you. I really like your stuff. We did Live, Laugh, Lariat. They were a lot of fun. And we did the thing yesterday. That was a lot of fun too. I don't know if that was technically a podcast. I'm not sure, but I don't know. It was on Facebook, so I don't know how that works. So yeah, damn.
We'll count it. Yeah, why not? Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Ethan Case. Boom.
Okay, I like it. And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this show: favorite curse word.
That's a tough one. I say a lot of those. That's probably fuck.
It's gotta be. It's the best word to use.
Yeah, I say that a lot. I say shit a lot too, though.
I think between those two, definitely, like it just sits. So, last thing I need from you is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they go find you.
Oh God, hold on. Let me check my phone. It's like, where can you find me? Well, on Facebook, I'm under my shoot name, which is Chris Baldwin. So that's pretty easy to find. If you go to Instagram, I am The Legend of Solar, all one word. Twitter, like, man, I'm literally just pulling each one up because I'm like, what is my name on this? Twitter is just at Legend of Solar. LO and S is capitalized. TikTok. Oh shoot. Legend of Solar 009 at Legend of Solar 009. Let me see one more. Let's see, what is my YouTube, because I definitely have a YouTube thing. Maybe I shouldn't. The YouTube is at The Legend of Solar. Wow. Okay, that's not at The Legend of Solar 8166. I'm not sure why it has those 4 numbers, but that's what they gave me. And also I have a Pro Wrestling Tees store, which is Pro Wrestling Tees at I'm pretty sure it's either The Legend of Solar or Legend of Solar. Please buy shirts because it will fuel me to go to shows and also take Erica to training. We need money.
Facts.
Also, Erica has a bunch of stuff, so like go find her stuff and subscribe to her. So become a patron and also buy her Pro Wrestling Tees, because
Wrestling training is
indie life is
wrestling is expensive.
Yes. Buy our stuff so we can buy more stuff to sell to you.
So that we can fuel more of our stuff that we need to get. So listen, so he gave you all the sounds. He even looked them up here live on the air for you guys. So you guys just, you need to go support. He also told where you can buy his Pro Wrestling Tees and told you about where you can find Erica Demia stuff too. So go check out her stuff. And you know what that means. Like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take it home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Into Ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you out that mountain called wrestling. But like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring? You see him right here. The Legend of Solar himself is here. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you're legit following us on all of our social media platforms right here down below. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're going to our Spotify. You're leaving those 5-star Frog Splash reviews. You're even going on ProWrestlingTees.com or ForYourWear.com, and you're buying all of our merch. You're telling your friends about us. You're telling your enemies about us. You're telling your family about us, because if they like us, you'll like us. And even if your enemies don't like us,
what's going on? It is Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And what we need from you guys is just kind of show some support, right? We want you guys to go to our YouTube channel at the 3 Count Podcast, go on to our Twitch channel, 3 Count Pod, or even our Facebook page, 3 Count Podcast, and just give us a like, follow, subscribe, even give us a comment, right? Do all that cool stuff. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your enemies, right? Or you can even come talk to us and just chat us up, right? Find us on Twitter at 3Count_pod. Find us on IG and on TikTok at 3 Count Pod. Go ahead and leave us those comments. We want to hear from all of you guys. We're going to keep putting on videos and stuff like that. We want to keep making this content better, so we want your guys' support. Also, if you guys want to, go support us at ProWrestlingTees.com/the 3 Count Podcast, or even find us on ForYourWear.com. Give us the support. Show us your guys' love, because we want to give it right back to y'all. So, in the meantime, between time, love y'all.